In the village of Ogidiga, by the wide blue river, lived a poor fisherman named Taye. Every morning before dawn, he pushed his wooden canoe into the water, casting his nets with hopes of catching enough fish to feed his mother and younger brother. Life was hard, yet Taye endured it with quiet strength, finding solace in the rhythm of the river. The village mocked him for his poverty, but he carried himself with dignity, never letting their laughter break his spirit. Though his life was simple, Taye's heart bore a secret longing. Each time he passed by the chief's compound, his eyes lingered on Abeni, the chief's only daughter. Her laughter rang like bells, her beauty shone brighter than the morning sun. Yet to Taye, she was as distant as the stars. He knew she was destined for a wealthy suitor, not a poor fisherman. Still he dreamed, as fishermen do, not only of abundant catch, but of a love he dared not speak aloud. Abeni was no ordinary maiden. Though raised in luxury, she carried herself with grace and kindness. When she visited the market, she greeted even the poorest with a smile. Many young men sought her hand, sons of traders, warriors, and landowners, but her father, Chief Olumide, demanded only the wealthiest and most powerful could court her daughter. Taye often watched from afar, never daring to approach. At night, as he mended his torn nets by the firelight, he imagined walking beside her under the moonlit palm trees. His younger brother teased him, saying, "Brother, the chief's daughter is not for men like us." Taye would laugh it off, but deep inside, he carried a silent ache knowing his heart's desire was a dream beyond reach.
One evening, as dark clouds gathered, Taye was still on the river, unwilling to return empty-handed. The storm came suddenly, tossing his canoe like a leaf. Lightning split the sky, and thunder rolled across the waters. His nets tore free, and Taye clung desperately to his boat, praying to the gods of the river for mercy. The storm raged through the night, but at dawn, the waters calmed. Exhausted, Taye drifted near the Forbidden Island, a rocky place elders warned never to visit. The river spirits, they said, guarded treasures and secrets no man should disturb. But as his canoe scraped against the shore, Taye's eyes caught a glimmer among the rocks. Curiosity overcame fear, and with trembling hands, he stepped onto the island. Behind a cluster of palms, Taye found a half-buried chest. Its metal edges were rusted, but the carving still gleamed faintly. Heart-pounding, he dragged it free and forced it open. Inside lay a fortune, cowries, ivory beads, and golden ornaments that shimmered like the sun. Never had his eyes seen such wealth. For a moment, joy overwhelmed him. He imagined himself standing proudly before Chief Olumide, offering gifts that proved his worth. But then fear gripped him. The stories of the river spirits echoed in his mind. Treasures taken without permission often carried curses. With shaking hands, he closed the chest and covered it with leaves, swearing not to speak of it. Riches lay before him, yet he rode back to the village poorer than ever, his heart heavy with secrets.
That night, sleep would not come. Taye's mind replayed the sight of the treasure, brighter than any dream. His brother noticed his destruction and asked what troubled him, but Taye only smiled faintly, unwilling to reveal the truth. To speak of it might bring danger, not only from the spirits, but also from greedy men. Instead, he returned to the island in secret, always at dawn before others stirred. He checked the chest, reassured himself it remained hidden, then cast his nets as though nothing had changed. But though his life looked the same, inside he felt a new burden. He carried not only the weight of poverty, but also the temptation of riches. And always, Abeni's face appeared in his dreams, as if fate itself tied her to the treasure.
Life in Ogidiga flowed as usual, yet whispers spread about Taye. Some villagers noticed his distraction and wondered if he had found something unusual. Others mocked him, saying his nets brought in fewer fish because his head was lost in fantasies. Still, Taye kept his secret locked within his heart. Meanwhile, suitors came bearing gifts to Chief Olumide: goats, yams, fine cloths, and coins. Each man bowed low before Abeni, but she only smiled politely. The chief grew restless. "My daughter will not marry a poor dreamer," he declared to the council. "Her husband must bring wealth and honor to my house." These words pierced Taye like an arrow. He had wealth hidden away, yet he dared not use it. Among Abeni's suitors was Adewale, son of a rich trader who dealt in palm oil and kola nuts. Adewale was tall, confident, and arrogant. He flaunted his riches, boasting that no man in Ogediga could rival him. Chief Olumide welcomed him warmly, seeing in him the kind of son-in-law he desired. Taye watched bitterly from the crowd whenever Adewale paraded his gifts. The villagers whispered that Abeni's marriage would soon be announced. Yet Abeni's eyes often drifted toward the river, where Taye's canoe rested. Though she never spoke of it, something in her heart longed for the quiet fisherman whose gaze carried more sincerity than 1,000 gold coins. The festival of new yams arrived, when the whole village gathered to celebrate harvest. Music filled the air, drums thundered, and masquerades danced in colorful robes. Chief Olumide's compound overflowed with food and laughter, as Adewale presented even more wealth to win Abeni's hand.
Taye came with only his worn clothes and a humble basket of fish, hoping to catch a glimpse of Abeni. The contrast between him and Adewale was clear, and villagers sneered. But when the masquerades passed, Abeni's gaze lingered on Taye, her smile subtle but warm. That single look gave him hope, even as Adewale's pride grew louder and the chief's approval more certain. Back at the river, Taye wrestled with himself. He could take a handful of gold from the chest and present it to the chief. One piece of ivory could change his life forever. Yet each time he reached for the treasure, fear of the spirits gripped him. What if the gods cursed him and his family? Still, the thought of losing Abeni to Adewale gnawed at him. He paced along the riverbank, torn between desire and fear. "What is wealth if it costs me my soul?" he whispered. For now, he decided, the chest must remain hidden, even if it meant losing the woman he loved. One dawn, as Taye returned from the island, his friend Kunle spotted him. Curious, Kunle followed and discovered the half-buried chest. At first, awe filled his eyes, but soon greed twisted his face. "Brother, why hide such riches? With this we could buy land, cattle, and anything we desire." Taye begged him to stay silent, warning of curses and spirits. But Kunle laughed. "You are a fool, Taye. While you waste time fishing, others will grow rich. Do not be surprised if this treasure no longer waits for you." Fear tightened Taye's chest. He realized his secret was no longer safe, and danger could come not only from spirits, but from men's envy. One evening, Chief Alumide summoned all the suitors. "Enough gifts have been brought. I will test each man, not by what he owns, but by what he can offer this village." Adewale boasted he will build new markets and roads. Others promised cattle and yams. When it came to Taye, the chief frowned. "What will you give, fisherman?" the chief asked sternly. Taye's heart raced. The next morning, Taye cast his nets, but they tore against sharp rocks, leaving him empty-handed. As he mended them, he wondered if the spirits were punishing him for keeping the treasure. His mother worried over the empty baskets, and his brother begged him to seek better fortune in the city. But Taye shook his head. "The river is my home. I will endure." Still, despair gnawed at him.
Each day, Adewale grew closer to winning Abeni, while his own nets grew lighter. The treasure called to him more strongly than ever, whispering promises of an easier life. One sleepless night, Taye walked to the shrine of the old priestess Mama Efe. Kneeling before her, he confessed his burden without naming the treasure directly. Mama Efe looked into the fire and spoke. The gods test men not with what they lack, but with what they hide. Riches buried in fear serve no one. But beware, greed will devour you if you let it lead. Her words struck deep. Taye returned home with a new resolve. He must find courage to face both the treasure and his love for Abeni. Wealth alone could not define him, but neither could silence and fear. Adewale grew impatient. He cornered Taye at the riverbank and mocked him openly. "Fisherman, you dream of things beyond your reach. Step aside, for Abeni belongs to men of power, not paupers." The insult cut deep, but Taye stood firm. Abeni belongs only to herself, not to your gold.
The quarrel drew a crowd, and the village buzzed with gossip. Adewale swore he would humiliate Taye before the chief, proving once and for all that wealth was mightier than dreams. Taye knew the days ahead would test him more than ever. That evening, Abeni sought out Taye secretly by the river. Her voice trembled as she said, "I do not care for Adewale's riches. My heart seeks honesty and kindness, not gold. Do not give up, Taye, even if the world mocks you." Her words gave him strength greater than any treasure. For the first time, hope burned brightly. He realized that while wealth could buy admiration, only truth could win love.
Still, he feared the chief's decision, for Abeni's choice alone would not suffice against her father's will. Days later, Kule betrayed Taye. He revealed the treasure to Adewale, who rushed to the chief, declaring that Taye was hiding riches meant for the village. Shock spread like wildfire. The chief summoned Taye, demanding an explanation. With a heavy heart, Taye admitted the truth of his discovery. Gasps filled the gathering. Some praised him for finding wealth, others cursed him for keeping it secret. Adewale sneered, saying, "See, even when fortune favors him, the fisherman hides it in fear." Taye bowed his head, unsure if he had lost everything. The council gathered to decide Taye's fate. Some elders argued the treasure belonged to the village, not to one man. Others claimed the spirit would punish them if they touched it. Chief Olumide frowned deeply, torn between greed for the wealth and anger at Taye's secrecy. Finally, Mama Efe stepped forward. Wealth without wisdom brings ruin. This man hid treasure not out of greed, but out of fear of the gods. Judge him not by gold, but by the heart he has shown. Her words silenced the crowd, though Adewale seethed with rage. To prove his sincerity, Taye offered the entire treasure to the village. "Let this wealth build schools, heal the sick, and feed the hungry. I ask nothing in return." His words stunned everyone. The villagers, moved by his sacrifice, began to murmur in his favor. Adewale shouted that Taye was a fool, but his greed now stood exposed. Chief Olumide studied Taye for a long moment, seeing for the first time not a poor fisherman, but a man of honor greater than gold. The chief spoke solemnly. "A man who can give up riches for the good of all is richer than kings. Taye, your worth is proven." He turned to Abeni. "Daughter, I see now that wealth is not the only measure of a man. If your heart chooses him, then so be it." Joy swept through the crowd as Abeni stepped forward, her eyes shining with tears. She placed her hand in Taye's, sealing a bond forged not by gold but by courage and love. Adewale stormed away, humiliated and defeated. The treasure was used to build a new market, a school for the children, and wells that gave clean water. The village prospered not from Adewale's boasts but from the fisherman's sacrifice. Taye continued to fish, but now he did so as a respected man. His nets never empty, for the river seemed to bless him. Beside him, Abeni stood as his wife, her laughter as bright as the river's song. Their love became a story told for generations. The poor fisherman who proved that true wealth is not in hidden treasures or golden ornaments, but in the courage to love, to give, and to remain true to one's heart. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more African folk tales and timeless love stories.